I know you talk a lot about frequency equalization, and you talk a lot about raising your vibrations as well too. How can that help benefit me when it comes to a business, a financial, material standpoint?
I'm going to speak frankly because that's something that I personally have had to, because of the work I do, because of thought mechanics, I've had to deal with a lot of people's misunderstandings of what creates everything that we think matters. Matter itself, physical, money, tangible, clothes, hats, whatever. Every single thing is built upon energy and frequency. Money itself is an energy and a frequency. We know that like attracts like. We know that it's no other way. It has never been any other way. That like will always attract like. Money begets money. Lack of money begets lack of money, And one of the biggest misconceptions is, why do I have to care about my frequency when I can go and check out that guru's money tips or that guru's real estate tips and make me some money? First of all, those skills and whatnot are just skills. I equate them, and I talk about this, I equate them to apps, brand new apps that you get for your phone. Except your mindset, your mind period is the OS, and it's outdated. It's a far older OS system, but you're trying to put this brand new app to be compatible with this outdated OS. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's the same way with, you can only use the skills that your mind can perceive and can understand. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. You can have a bookshelf that's this big, but you have that many books. Guess what? You can only fit that many books and that much knowledge in your shelf. The only thing that you can do now is, like we talk about in the Manifestation 101 video and what I teach my personal students, you have to begin to expand this shelf. And I teach how, the teachings are there. How to expand that shelf so that more and more and more can fit, so that you can do more. Because you cannot create great things. You cannot do great things. And you can never really do anything great. Only small things are great love, as Mother Teresa says. But you can never even begin to do those great things that come from small things with great love if you cannot understand them. If you can't understand them. And most people they see a car and they think it's a car. What they don't realize is that car came from everything that we know to be energetic, right? Everything that car has and was made from comes from the earth. We know that the way the earth looks, from the desert to the tropical rainforest to everything, and the geodes and the crystals and the stones and the metals and the minerals that form on every single part geographically on the earth, creates itself. It looks the way it does because it runs on a certain energetic grid line. Onyx looks the way it does, and it doesn't look like jasper. Why? Because the energetic grid lines make it look this way when it manifests itself, and vice versa. And yet people cannot wrap their minds around that. They think that money has something to do with money, and it doesn't. You ask anybody in the world that has a lot of money, but I mean a lot, and you'll find that most of them don't give a damn about money. Most of them are too busy doing what they love, creating the type of energy, the vibration within themselves and around them that attracts that level of abundance and success. That's the way it is. How many people do you know constantly chase after money, and that's the theme of their lives? You're going to always chase after money. Always. Money will never come to them. They have to go out and try to find it. Energetically, they don't know how to bring money to them. I'll give you another example, a perfect example. Kevin Jacobson, who's a friend of mine and who's also an ambassador for Thought Mechanics. He became one. Why? Because of this. He went to a casino with his friend. His friend is actually pretty pro when it comes to gambling. And they were playing blackjack. And Kevin has never gambled a day in his life. And all that Kevin had was the thought mechanics teachings and $80. The other guy had a lot more money and all the experience and knowledge on how to gamble. Kevin said, you should, really look at this thought mechanics stuff and apply these teachings. He says, I don't need that. I'm a pro. I know what to do. I know how to do this stuff. Kevin turned $80 into thousands and thousands of dollars within a couple hours. The other guy, who was the pro, lost everything and had to ask Kevin for gas money to get home. You work too hard. You don't work smart enough. The problem is that you don't realize that. You think that you're smart, but you're really not. And even when you're smart, if you were truly smart, you would choose to be wise. People know exactly how to play Halo. They're the best at this entire world. They've mastered it. But yet when they turn off the game console and they go out into the real world, they're infants. They're infants. Learn to master the greater worlds that dictate the smaller worlds. If you learn how to master how to use energy, you don't have to know how to gamble. You don't have to know how to do anything. You will always bring abundance to yourself, every single turn of the way. The shame is that most people don't know that, don't want to know that, and they suffer for it. And they expect sympathy out of the world for their lack of desire to know when the knowledge is there. The fact of the matter is the world has no sympathy for you. The universe doesn't know how to pity. That's not within its matrix of reality. It doesn't know how to do it. And the more you seek that out, as in all things, the more you won't get anything. If you like to throw pity parties, life will always make sure that you have something to throw a pity party for. And that's the way life works. So I would say, learn these teachings. Learn them. They're going to save your life. Because just as it can bring abundance to you, it can also make sure that you stay away from where you shouldn't be, when you shouldn't be there. It'll always make sure that you're safe from accidents, from enemies, from everything. It'll make your life so much easier to live, so much more enjoyable, because you don't no longer have to focus on the things that frustrated you so much. And if you could only have enough wisdom and enough humility, going back to what we spoke of before, the key to unlocking intention itself, having enough humility and enough desire to want to be better will ensure that you get better in life. Because if you want more, you got to become more in here. And if you don't think that that's important, then continue to learn all the skills and everything else. Continue to do that, negating the fact that you're just wanting to learn the mastery of how to master Halo in the world of Halo. But then when you have to turn off the game console, you're an infant when it comes to the real game. And that's what I would say about that.
So, Jonathan, I was actually talking to one of my friends, and he was telling me how him and his buddy started a sales job at the same time, but his buddy just seems to get a lot further than him, he believes, and he's just been getting really angry lately about it. What kind of advice would you be able to give him?
Well, it's something that I referenced earlier in this interview. And in that previous question we talked about the oasis and whatnot. And what I didn't say when I answered that particular question referenced itself right back to what you just asked. And that is, you need to stop comparing your success, your oasis, to other people's oasis. That needs to stop immediately, because life is not a race. It's a marathon. It's a marathon. If you treat it like a race, you will always lose. You'll never win first place. And even when you win first place, you win the battle sacrificing the war. Even when opera singers sing, any singer sings, you don't always try to hit high notes. You gotta control your level of energy so that you can last the marathon. So in comparing yourself to others, you immediately start to create the frustration, the thoughts, the gravity that begin to impede the flow of energy that will allow your success to come about as fast as it could. Some people want or create the effort to create an oasis the size of a pool. Others work hard to dig an oasis the size of a lake. Others the size of an ocean. One is going to fill faster than the other, right? If you took a pump that pumped out 100 gallons per minute, or let's just say 1,000 gallons per minute, right? You use the same pump to fill up all of the same oasis, but you have one that's the size of the pool, one that's the size of the lake, and the other is the size of an ocean. The pool's going to be filled up faster than the others. Am I right?
Right.
Some people, their biggest dream is to make a 6-figure income. Others' dreams are to own an Audi R8. There are other people whose dreams are so big, right? The oasis is so big, the size of an ocean, of a lake, that it's just going to take more time. It's just going to take more time. But don't ever think that just because everybody else seems to be winning, you're losing. Don't ever take that as a true indication of where you stand in life and what can happen for you and will happen for you if you continue upon the path that you're on for the right reasons in the right ways. I said this example before, J.K. Rowling, who wrote the Harry Potter series. J.K. Rowling was broke. She was living, out of a car, and she was homeless, a single mother. I mean, you name it. And across the Atlantic Ocean, she had 2 big examples of authors who were mega successful. Danielle Steele, the romance writer. And you had Stephen King, the horror writer. And both of these people, Stephen King was worth about $200 million or something, and Danielle Steele was worth about $500 million. Both are very prolific. And here's little old J.K. Rowling, living in a car, across the ocean. And all she's got is this idea of a little boy, wizard, living at Hogwarts. And if she had said, I could never, it took them decades to get what they have. Even if I started now, I could never get that. Never. If she had let that sit